Hey guys, we're coming to you from a different area than we're typically in. Freezing our butts off here in the northern Midwest of the country, and ready to get back on the road. Today we're bringing you information that we've been researching. We've been researching tons of vehicles, trying them out, checking them out, getting all the specs, and we, as promised, we're going to be sharing with you the piles and piles of research that we went through so you don't have to. So today we'll be looking at the VANS. If you are interested in a road rig that is a van, we'll give you the rundown in this video to show you the different options that are out there and what different vans you're going to come across at this point. And, you know, try to mention things to keep in mind when you're looking at them. And keep in mind when we're talking about the pricing, obviously it varies. There's lots of features, lots of different specs. When you're looking at vans, you're going to be looking at things, everything from low tops to high tops, different lengths, different wheelbases, and different features within the van. Just like any vehicle, you know, you have everything from basic to luxury. Things like outlets and plugs that are inside. So those will be the price variations. But what we're talking about is kind of that average middle ground. Nothing fancy, but you have the basic standard features. And when we say used, to put it into perspective for all the vehicles to compare, we'll be looking at something that's probably like a 2015 with mid to low mileage on it, and that'll give you an idea of what we're talking about when we mention price range. So we'll give you the new and that used, slightly used price so you can keep in mind and compare. So here goes.
Yeah, so the first one we did was the Dodge ProMaster cargo van. So if you're going to get a new one, they're approximately around about $30,000 brand new. And if you're looking for used, we found them in the range of about $23,000, $24,000. Yeah, so the ProMaster just comes in three different trim levels. You got the base, you got the Tradesman, and you got the SLT. And you got the three different lengths. So you got the wheelbase that you can get the 118, the 139, and a 159. That equates to the whole vehicle length being about 195, 213, and 236 inches in length. And then, yeah, you can do the high roof or the low roof, and the low roof is about 65 inches of headroom in the back, and the high roof is about 76 inches. So it's a little over 6 feet, so it's plenty of room to stand in the back.
Yes.
They are front-wheel drive, and so the gas mileage we found out to be about like 13 to 18 miles per gallon.
So it's okay.
So it's about normal.
Yeah, so I mean, what did you think about that one? I mean,
what I liked it was front-wheel drive, and the height was really good. There's lots of different varieties you can get for lengths and height, so we weren't looking at anything crazy, so you can get a smaller one with a slower height. The lower height, well, obviously I didn't fit in, so 6 foot or taller, you're not going to be able to stand in the back.
yeah.
So if
I
you're
could
shorter,
stand up in the shorter one,
yeah,
but he
it
couldn't.
worked.
So keep
worked
that
great.
in mind too.
So yeah, and if you're just one person, the small one works fine. Obviously, if you have two people and 2 dogs, you might want to go a little bigger,
Yeah.
but...
So you could go with the shorter one, and, you know, you just have to kind of slouch over if you're him, and it's still an option, though, and, I mean, you're still kind of having room to stand up. It's just not, you don't have room above your head. So that's kind of a trade-off consideration. The prices are slightly different for high versus low. So that's what we thought about that one. Next on the list,
The Ford Transit vans. So they are brand new. You're going to be about $32,000 again. So about the same range, and about $23,000 again for used ones. And that's again just with your base models. You got the low roof, medium roof, and high roof. So they got 3 different sizes of roofs for you. And so it'll be 57 inches for the low one, 72 inches for the medium, and 81 inches for the tall one. So you get a few different choices for heights in the van. And your lengths will be 129, 147, and they have another 147. That's just the wheelbase. But then the inches for the full length will be 219, 235, and 263. So you can get a little bit of a longer vehicle if you need more space. But the wheelbase is actually shorter, so that was you'll have a lot of extra space on the back of the vehicle, which wasn't really big into. But obviously, if you want that, you can have that. It's rear-wheel drive. And it gets about 15 to 19 miles per gallon, so it's a little bit better than the ProMaster, but it's rear-wheel drive, and we weren't a big fan of getting a rear-wheel drive vehicle, so that was a kind of a knock against the Ford Transit. But then, then on to the Nissan Envy. So they have a couple different ones. They have a 200, which just is like a really small van, and that one starts at about $22,000, and that's just a really kind of a small transit van. And then you can get the 1500, 2500, and 3500 Envy. And they have two different sizes. They got the low top and the high roof, or the low roof and the high roof. And there's only one length though, so the length is 240 inches long. And they got three different trim levels. So you got the S, SV, and SL. And then
the difference between that is just the S is really standard, like no power features. It sounds like the SV is just, it's still kind of standard sounding, but you get like power features. And the SL is kind of your luxury. It has like leather and all these added things. But the SV, the middle version, is probably the one you'd be targeting, I would think. That one has like outlets and most of the basic stuff you'd need, so that gives you that.
Yeah, so the engines, you can choose between a V6 and V8 on that one, and it is rear-wheel drive, but it does get a lot of clearance, which we really liked, but more clearance meant the vehicle was even higher than all the rest of them because you get more clearance, so the frame of it is going to be higher off the ground.
We weren't a big fan of the really, really tall ones, particularly this one, because this was, I think, the tallest.
Yeah, it was.
And it's just not something we really want for living in and driving on mountain roads and windy places and things of that. And so we weren't a big fan of that particular feature of that van.
Yeah. So then on to the GMC Savannah. We were looking at a few of those. So you're looking at about $31,000 again, so about in the same ballpark. Used, you're going to be about $20,000. They're a little cheaper for the used ones of those.
And the Savannah is, if you're not familiar with it, to us it was kind of this cross between, not really minivan, but kind of minivan meets cargo van in terms of its body. It's not quite a cargo van in the sense that the other ones we've talked about are.
Yeah, it's only got one height, so it's just the basic van. Most of them are rear-wheel drive, but we did see all-wheel drive options. So that was the only one we seen that was in the decent ballpark for price with all-wheel drive. Yeah. So yeah, you can get the regular or the extended. There's only two different lengths you can get there.
So again, you're probably not going to be able to stand up in this one.
Yes.
So that's kind of a knock against it too. If you're getting a van, you're kind of getting the van to be able to stand up in, I would think. I mean, that was our thing, is we really wanted to be able to have the height to stand up in and sort of build into it a tiny house or tiny room to live in. So without that, it was like the trade-off was, we could possibly get an all-wheel drive, but now we can't stand in it. So really, what was the point of getting a van? Because most SUVs would do almost the same thing for us, but then we get the four-wheel drive. Yeah. That was my take on that particular van. So.
Yeah, and it got about 13 to 18 miles per gallon, so it was all right. But if you could find an all-wheel drive one, it was a pretty good option.
Okay, so now for some of the other vans. There are some other ones out there that are a little less like the cargo van, but they'll still fit in this van category. And we pretty early on ruled them out because they don't quite fit what we're looking for, but we want to make sure to mention them. And that's what I'm talking about. You'll see a lot of like VW, Westphalias, and Euro vans and all these other styles. They're older models, and as cool as they are, we didn't want something too old, since we're planning on, this is like a 10-20 year plan here. We want our road life rig for that long, so we definitely didn't want anything too old, and particularly with too many miles on it already, which is kind of hard to not get one of those with a lot of miles on it.
Yeah, they seem to still be a little on the pricey side. The ones you get used are the ones that you get a little cheaper. You'll probably spend more money on fixing it up. And then also there was a lot of them that asked a lot of people about them, and then maintenance is a little difficult on them because a lot of people don't really work on, especially like the Euro vans. It's difficult to find someplace to fix them if something happens with them. So.
Yeah, and we didn't want to have to, considering all the places we go, have trouble finding a place that could help us fix it if we had an issue, as well as have to pay the extra cost on fixes. And in addition to that, they're still kind of smaller. Again, it's not like a cargo van, so you're still not like able to stand up in it, which for us kind of took out the whole advantage of having a van anyway. I mean, the only reason we were really considering van is for the height and being able to put a custom build into it. Otherwise, we would just probably stick with SUV in our case.
Yeah.
So there might be a couple other oddball vans out there in that category, but they all kind of had that disadvantage. And then, as we mentioned before, the only other real major contender is the Mercedes, and what you gain with the Mercedes vans is really that four-wheel drive option. Just right off the bat, they were too expensive for us. Base price is $40,000 to $60,000, depending on the different features, and then from there you can add on. Didn't make a whole lot of sense. The only thing you're really getting with it is that you're getting a four-wheel drive feature with those vans. And just the same, there are companies out there, you'll come across, Sportsmobile and Quigley are the two main ones, that even the dealers now are sending their vans off and getting them upgraded. And it's like a $20,000 additional cost on top of your van price. So, I mean, any of the other vans you could send off and get them modified by these companies. But again, you're adding $20,000. So regardless, even if you get those vans cheaper, you're looking at like that $60,000 mark for a four-wheel drive van. It's four-wheel drive, but that still doesn't mean it can get everywhere you need to be per se. So,
and they're about 6-month wait, I think, right now anyways.
Yeah, it sounds, we asked some people and it sounds like they're even backed up. So that also wasn't going to work for us. So price, time, and then, yeah, with the Mercedes, there are already a lot of models out there that are four-wheel drive, but they're super expensive straight off. I mean, like $60,000 plus price range. And
it sounded like the maintenance on it was kind of a pain in the butt too, because everything's electronic. So if anything goes wrong on it, it's really expensive because most of it you can't fix yourself. So you have to take it into a dealership, which is again expensive. So
yeah,
a lot of upkeep on it.
So that we ruled out. So that's pretty much the rundown on the vans, I think.
So a few other things just to think about if you're looking at vans, go to Enterprise. They sell their old vans for a decent price, and they're usually pretty well taken care of. Yep.
So with all those vans, if we go with vans, our pick would be we kind of discussed it and we came up with a tie. So it might be the Dodge ProMaster, because that was really one of the only ones that wasn't rear-wheel drive. So that's one of the biggest advantages it had. And there were all the different options and that would have worked out for us, whether it was the low or the high roof. So the Dodge ProMaster or the GMC Savannah was also not a bad option.
If you could find it all-wheel drive.
Yeah, if there was an all-wheel drive option, which a lot of them in research still had the rear-wheel drive. So, yeah, so it'd be about in that range for our pick for vans. We will be getting to trucks and SUVs as well. We'll do the same kind of overview that we've done for vans in this video. So look for those videos as well if you're looking more for SUVs to live in or camp in, or if you're looking for trucks and putting, say, a cab or camper, we'll do an individual video for both those topics as well. I hope this was really helpful for you guys. If you're looking for a road life, van life kind of vehicle, then there you go. The research is done for you. It took us quite a bit of time and effort, but that's what we found out. So thanks for being here as usual, and keep a lookout for those other videos.
Okay.